Good morning and welcome to week 2. I was just telling everybody that I have these awesome little wings, so I'll give you, because I just want you guys to know that I do have hair. It's just in a ponytail today. But since having a baby, my hair falls out. You know, that lovely 4 or 5 month old postpartum phase that you go through. And so now it's growing back in. So that's good. That's the beauty of lifelong vitality, is it supports optimal hair growth. And now it's growing back in, and now I have these little awesome fuzzy things. So hopefully it's not too distracting for you as you are on your watching me today. So anyway, I'm excited, and I had so much fun getting so many different vision boards. You guys have some amazing things planned, and a lot of you guys are going on cool vacations, and I have to tell you, I am a vacation connoisseur. I love them, and I go on them often. So you may see me on your vacation with you when you reach your goals. So just let me know when and where the vacation is, and I will show up, with or without a bathing suit if they're necessary. Now, I'm not coming naked, but if it's going somewhere where you need a bathing suit, I will be there with a bathing suit. Oh boy, I want to leave my meeting. My assistant logged in. Okay, we're good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna get started with week 2. So with week 1, we're giving away an Aroma Touch kit, and Bree will be announcing the winner for that. She is going to be giving that out. She already has it, and she'll be giving it out to one lucky person. So hopefully the assignments went well for you. I think it's so important to have a destination in mind before you ever take off. You know, my husband and I are getting ready to drive out to Kansas City this weekend, and it's really important that we know where we're going before we leave. Like, we got to have a route, and we know we have to have an end place so that we can actually get where we're going. So we're going to talk about launch week 2, and I'm going to make sure real quick that I have my share guide open to show you guys. Okay, I do. We're good. We are all good. From current slide. So welcome to week 2. What I'm doing is, you know, there's 12 steps in reaching elite, and I'm grouping some of them together because I don't want this to be a 12-week training. I have found in the past that that everybody has about a great attention span for 6 weeks, and then after that it gets a little bit long and tedious. So we're gonna have this be 6 weeks, and then we'll have some bonus sessions at the end. So many of you guys have already achieved elite, and some of you have achieved elite and not hit it again, and that's okay. You know, we're just talking about the foundations of how to build your business, and I think that it's so important that we all play like we're going elite again. You know, even me, or even, you know, some of you guys may be blue diamonds. You know, I have a presidential diamond on my team, and there are times that it's very necessary and appropriate to almost restart and figure out, okay, what did I do in the beginning that led me to success? So that's what we're doing with this training. And, you know, so you may already be elite, and you may be thinking, well, I'm already elite. Why do I need this? Well, because you're going to remember the basic things, and you may be needing to add something back in. And not only that, you're going to be starting builders, and then you're going to know exactly what to do with your builders. So going for elite is awesome. In doTERRA, if you have 3 appropriately placed elites, you're a silver. Average silver makes $2,000 a month in doTERRA. Now, granted, when you first hit silver, that's usually not the income you're making. It's a little bit less. But silvers that's a good supplementary income. Once you have 9 elites in the right spots, you're a platinum. 12, you're a diamond. 54, you're a presidential diamond. So you can see why it's so key to learn how to hit elite for yourself and for other people on your team. So being elite means that you have 3,000 organizational volume. So that means your volume from your monthly order plus anybody that is on your team, whether they're doing a retail order, preferred member order, or now the new thing is the wholesale customer, or any other wellness advocates. They will be, anything that they order goes towards your personal volume and your organizational volume. Once it's at 3,000, you are an elite. So elite is important because, as I mentioned, you know, if you're hitting elite and you know how to hit elite, you know how to build a silver, platinum, presidential diamond, some really awesome ranks. So elite is such a key rank. So it's really important that you figure out, you know, you're going to create a names list today, but it's important to figure out your classes and your one-on-ones. When are you going to have these? Because the basis behind doTERRA is that you are finding people, you are teaching them, you're enrolling, and you're duplicating. So, you know, a big key factor is teaching. That's where you're going to get people that are going to want to purchase oils. And, you know, purchasing oils is amazing. They're life-changing. They make it so that your body is able to support itself and recover in a quick fashion from having sniffles or a sore throat. Last night I had a sore throat. This morning I don't have one. And it is because I was Me and my bottle of On Guard were getting kind of friendly. So it's amazing what happens when you use oils on a consistent basis. So obviously you want to be able to share that with people through classes or one-on-ones. You need to decide what works best for you. You may be at a point where you're like, classes intimidate me, they don't work well, nobody shows up. You know what? That's fine. Don't force something that's not working for you individually, and let's set up one-on-ones. If you would prefer to do 5 one-on-ones a week instead, or 3, or whatever schedule works for you, that's great. Go ahead and do it. You don't, just because it works for me doesn't mean that it has to be exactly how you run your business. The point is that you are finding a way to get the message out about essential oils. So if it's classes or one-on-ones, I think that's great. I utilize both of them. I like classes because I like to get the message out to more than one person at a time. And one-on-ones I like because there are times that you can't get somebody to a class, or the time doesn't work for them, or maybe you've had a hard time pegging them down and getting them to show up. If you put it on their terms and get a one-on-one setup, that might be more successful. So figure out when you're going to do those. You need to get your classes set up. I really like the movie Field of Dreams because I like when they say, if you build it, they will come. So if you get your class set up, it's a lot more likely to have people show up at class that you actually have set. So setting up your classes is huge. And we will be talking later in this journey together about how to find hosts for your classes and different incentives that you can do for your hosts. If that's something that you feel comfortable doing now, go for it and get some set up with hosts, or just you can set some up for yourself. You also need to decide how many classes you're going to do. So I'm going to show you your class planner, and I'm going to show you how you're going to decide how many you want to do. In fact, let's go ahead and look at that right now. So here's our launch guide. And I love seeing everybody's filled out launch guides. It seriously is warming to my soul. I love it. Okay. View the launch guide. So in the launch guide, I am going to have you guys go through. Hopefully you can see this okay. These are the 12 steps for hitting elite. There's the prepare, the invite, present, enroll, support, and then preparing yourself. So you guys did the getting started. You also figured out your goals, which was really awesome. I love to see your goals and why you wanted to achieve those goals. That was amazing. So right now, let me see if I can figure out how to zoom into this. If you guys need to log in to get your own share success and look at this, that's great, because this is kind of, actually, let me just open it in a better way real quick. All right, move out of my way. That's kind of small. We're going to talk about scheduling your classes, and basically I'll start going over what it says. So basically what you need to do is decide, like, let's say that you're wanting to have $1,000 in volume for the month of October. First of all, you need to figure out what kind of volume do you typically have from your classes. So let's say that this is your first class and you haven't had any. You can plan on between 300 and 500 in volume per class that you have, if you have handed your samples out beforehand, if you're planning on having, like, 5 to 7 people there, or you can plan on like 300 to 500 in volume. That's typical. If you have 5 to 7 brand new people who are well qualified, they've already received their samples, you can plan on like 300 to 500 PV at a class. Now, if you've been doing classes and that's not your average volume, that's okay. Figure out what your average volume is. So maybe it's 100, and you know that you want to hit director next month, which is 1,000. You would need to do 10 classes. That would mean that every time you do a class, usually you get a family physician kit enrollment, so you would want to do 10 of them. So whatever is average for you is great. Now, I do love what they've done with the launch guide. They've just updated it, and now they have it broken down into the pipes. The things that you need to do to prepare, the things that you need to invite, the things you need to do to present, things you need to do to enroll, and then support. That stands for pipes, and that's this acronym right here, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, we're going to talk about your classes. So what this shows you right here is Elite Plan. Elite is 3,000 volume from your entire organization. 3 classes. If you have 5 classes or 1,000 PV for class, you would need to do 3 classes. Or you would need to do 15 one-on-ones if you think you can get everyone to do like a home essentials kit at each one. Now, don't count on 1,000 PV per class if that is not your average. That is not my average. I do not normally have 1,000 PVA per class. So I'm not going to say, okay, you know what, I want to hit presidential next month. I'm normally like this far off, 15,000 off, so I need to have 15 classes. That wouldn't be accurate for me. So I would be misplanning. Like I would not be planning correctly. So you need to figure out what your typical volume is per class, and then look at your goal for the month, and then divide what your volume needs to be, divide how much volume you normally get into that, and figure out how many classes you need. So then you want to go through and you want to schedule your class. So this goes through and helps you figure out exactly how much you need per class. And you can figure out the incentives or kits that you want to offer for people to host. You need to decide, like, okay, if somebody books an incentive or a class at your incentive, what incentive is that going to be? Maybe you decide, you know what, I'm going to give an 8-vial keychain filled with 8 of my favorite oils just for booking a class. Or maybe, or having an incentive just for enrolling that night. Maybe you're going to be giving out a book. Maybe if doTERRA has something going on, maybe you're going to be doing a diffuser. But figure out what you're going to do to get incentivized people to enroll, and then figure out what the incentive is for people to book a class at your class. And then go through and figure out when your class is going to take place. Now, next week, we're going to talk about effective invitations, and I will tell you that those make all of the difference in the world. If you have people that come that have had samples before they come, that's going to make a big difference, because they're going to have had a chance to try the products first, which is super important. So go ahead and figure out when your classes are going to be, and then you're going to figure out your one-on-ones. You have some people that you know it's going to be tough to get them to a class, so go ahead and plan one-on-ones with them. So this is when you're going to go through and figure out when all of that is going to take place. So it's exciting. So go through and plan out your classes. Here's what I would do. I would start planning on the month of October. How many classes do you want? What goal are you going? What was your 30-day goal? And so let's say you're going for executive this month. That's 2,000 in volume. And normally you have 200 in volume from each class. Then you need to do 10 classes. So go ahead and just figure that out, and then plan on your success for October. So that'll be an important thing to do for October. doTERRA compliance is telling me, and really that's my account manager. My phone likes to guess. It's awesome. I've got this little box on the bottom I'm trying to get moved so I can get back to my PowerPoint. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is create a names list. That's going to be huge, because we need to figure out who you are going to invite to your class. You know, at convention, they just talked about the fact that the market is wide open. In fact, you know, as many of you know, I am looking for a new frontline builder to replace one of my builders who's no longer able to fulfill their obligations. And when I mean obligations, they have chosen to do something else because of some extenuating circumstances. I've actually never had anyone do this. But the reason I'm telling you this is it was so amazing at how many people here in Utah were interested in the position that had never even used oils, never been to a class, no one had shared with them. And sometimes we think everybody's already used oils. That is simply not true. And in fact, at convention, hang on, I'm going to blow my nose and I apologize. In fact, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to mute myself real quick. Oh, well. Sorry. But over 66% of the people in the U.S. have never even heard of essential oils. So we have a long way to go and a lot of people that we need to share with so we can get the good word about essential oils out. So we need to start creating a names list of who we want to share with. Even here in Utah, where doTERRA was founded, there's a lot of room for growth. I have had a lot of people come to me and say, you know, I've heard of doTERRA, but I don't really know what it is, or I've never even tried an essential oil. And I was like, wow, there's so much room for growth here in Utah. This is incredible. So wherever you live, there's lots of rooms for growth. Not everybody has heard of oils. You know, sometimes when you buy a blue car, you notice everybody else has a blue car. You know, I bought a Yukon and I'm like, everybody has a Yukon, which they don't. Or I bought a Kia minivan and I'm like, everybody has a Kia minivan, and they don't. But you just notice what you have in particular. So when you sign up for the oils and you're purchasing them, you know, you're attracted to those other people who already do that. So you think, oh, everyone does oils, but they don't. There's so much room for growth still. So go ahead and create a names list because we have so many people we need to share with. I mean, yeah, 66% of the U.S. has never even heard of oils. Wow, that's exciting. We have so many people to share with. You know, one thing I do here is, but I don't know anybody, or I don't know anybody who would want oils. Okay, anybody that ever looks like this, ever, is going to want to know about essential oils. Anybody who ever has a stuffed up nose, a scratchy throat, you know, when I lay down, I feel extra pressure in my head. Anybody that ever has gone through that or will go through it in the future, which is everybody is going to get sniffles from time to time. They're going to want to know about oils. So anybody that breathes and has eyeballs is going to want to know about essential oils. So anybody that you know is going to want about is like, those are good people to share with. They may not be open to it, but that's another thing. But everybody needs to know about oils. And, you know, whenever somebody says, I don't know anybody, recognize that right off the bat as a limiting belief. You're afraid. And that's okay, because I've done that too. Like it's so nerve-wracking to say, oh my gosh, I'm going to share oils with people. It's like, I don't know anybody. That's like our first line of defense, because we don't want anybody to turn us down, and we don't want to feel like we're bugging anybody, and we don't want to feel stupid. So that's what I love, is to be able to recognize that and think, you know what? That's not true. That's me trying to protect myself. So yes, I do know lots of people. I have a mom. Somebody cuts my hair. Sometimes I get massages. I do, in fact, have next door neighbors. And you know what? Someone even lives behind me and across the street. And my daughter, she has kids in her preschool class. So does my son. They have a teacher. You know, like, you start listing the people that you know and interact with. There's quite a few. We all have a mailman. We all have somebody that, we all have people that we interact with on a very regular basis, even if we feel like we don't know anybody. We do know people. So we just need to start listing all of the people that we know. So it's going to be as simple as that. It's just creating a names list. So I'm going to go back to the launch guide. What did I do with mine? There we go. We're going to create a names list. So the first thing you're going to do is you're just going to write down people that you know. You're going to just write down people you know that could use essential oils. And you can use, it says right here, use this worksheet to prioritize prospects from your names list in your build guide. This creates awareness of qualities of high priority prospects and potential builders. So if you would like to go back to the build guide, we can do that. Sorry. I need 2 screens. My husband has 2 screens on his computer at work. I need that same thing. Let me go. So if you want to go, I apologize. If you want to go to the build guide, and it's the same thing under Share Success, you can totally do that. And it will walk you through how to create a names list of people that you want to share with. So if you have not filled out a build guide, go ahead and do that. It's the same place under sharesuccess.com, and you can create your names list. I recommend starting with 100 people. And if you want to break it down and think, okay, I need to write down for the next 5 days, 20 people each day, go ahead and do that. You can write, you know, your elementary school teachers. If you live in the same, you know, some people grow up in the same town and the same teacher is still teaching at the school. You could write down your school teacher. You could write down your kid's school teacher. You could write down your kid's friends' parents. You could write down, you know, your next door neighbors, the person at the dentist office that you really like, or the doctor's office, or the nurse that you think is super friendly, or, you know, the lady at the grocery store that you end up talking to every time because she's always checking out when you're there and you think she's really cool. Write her name down too. So the point is just write down anybody that you can think of. Don't worry about what they're going to say. Just worry about writing them down right now, because the truth of it is, some will, some won't. Who cares? Someone is waiting. That's Tiffany Peterson, you know, is a business coach, and that's something that she had taught me is, you know, we're going to have people say no, and that's okay. So we're just going to go ahead and write everybody down and worry about the no's later. We're just going to write down people that we want to share with. And if you want to go to the build guide, in fact, let me see if I can pull up a build guide even quicker. Yep, I can right here. We will download this real quick. We can show you how to do your names list. Super simple, super easy. And you can create yourself a names list. And even if you've been doing this for a long time, I would still recommend starting your names list again, writing more people that you want to share with. Because I from time to time, start writing down a names list of people that I want to share with. So list 100 people you know, go through your phone contacts, your Facebook friends, and think about who would benefit from the products or opportunity. Who needs wellness, money, purpose, or freedom? And there's also a link right here you can go to. So sharesuccess.com/expand your contacts for additional ideas. And then you can organize by networks. So I really like that. You can organize it by relatives or people who live near me, or Facebook friends, or Instagram friends. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to go bombard your Facebook friends. I wouldn't recommend doing that, because I've gotten to the point myself that literally anytime I've invited to there's 2 different companies, I won't mention their names, but anytime I'm invited to their events, because I'm invited about 5 times per company, I just quietly unfriend or unfollow the group because I know who sells it and I don't want to go to another online party. So we're not just going to bombard our Facebook friends. That's not what we're going to do. But you can write down people that you know on Facebook. So, all right. So in action, I'm going to show you one of my favorite products that doTERRA has, and it is an On Guard throat lozenge. I'm going to be using one right now while we talk about creating names lists. So here's your names list. I'm going to have you guys fill that out. Now, if we go back to the launch guide, it's going to have you prioritize your names list, which I really like. If you are brand new, don't worry about that just yet. Or if that's overwhelming, just create your names list, and then we'll worry about how to share with those later. So let me go back to, I have so many things open, you guys. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. I always made fun of my husband when he was like, I need 2 computer screens at work. I'm like, for one computer, what are you going to do with that? And now I know because I could organize things out. So you're going to create your names list, and then we're going to talk about pipes, and we're going to talk about creating a schedule. Because you've noticed we're going to create a names list. We're also going to figure out when we're going to do our classes. Next week, we're going to be focusing on how to invite and how to contact those people. But first of all, I think it's so important that you guys have a schedule. And I think it's important that you know what income producing activities are. You know, I've done a lot of mentoring over the last 6 years, and I myself have fallen into the trap of doing busy work or non-income producing activities saying, oh, I'm doing doTERRA. And sometimes I feel like, man, I'm not doing mentoring enough, or man, I'm not doing this enough. And it's like, okay, so what's truly bringing me income? What's helping my team? And what is helping me meet more contacts? And sometimes I need to stop and reevaluate that, and not just be working hours just to feel like, oh, I'm doing my doTERRA business. It's so important that as we are working, that we do things that are effective and going to bring us an income. You know, I know all of you guys are very, very busy people, and you don't have time to be wasting time just doing random things. So when I say non-income producing activities, you know, one thing I see people do, sometimes they get caught up on a lot of online activity that's not fruitful for your business. And I'll see people that really want to do certain things online or post about their oils a lot, or, you know, do things that what you need to stop and realize and think is, okay, when I do this activity, am I ultimately getting volume to my team? You know, that's why I tell people, don't worry about doing your own business trainings until you're at least a gold. And the reason I say that is you may have 3 people watching your training, and that's great that you've connected with 3 people. You can connect with those 3 people through mentoring, but allow me or allow your nearest upline that's doing a weekly business training to do the training for you so that you can focus on other activities at this point. So income producing activities are sharing samples, hosting classes, doing follow-ups, mentoring your builders, you know, so inviting people, presenting, enrolling, and supporting. Those are the huge things. Make sure you're not getting caught up on too many business development ideas or too many personal development. Like if all you're doing is watching webinars, it's not going to grow your business. It's great that you know how to teach a class, but unless you actually get out and teach a class, that's going to be the problem. So make sure that you are doing income producing activities. If you notice that you're posting on Facebook and only 1 or 2 people are seeing the posts or watching the videos, I wouldn't spend your time doing that. So make sure that you're doing things that are really impacting your team. And when you're at the beginning of your business, it's so tempting to spend time on Facebook and be like, okay, or Instagram or whatever it is to do that. But it's like the priority at this point is getting out there, meeting people, and getting them to your events. That is going to be huge. Now, I don't want anyone thinking, oh, she's picking on me or talking to me personally. I don't have a single person in mind that I'm even thinking about. I just have things that I've seen in my business or in other people's businesses that I see hold them back a little bit. So what we want you guys to be focusing on is pipes activities. So you're thinking of an actual pipeline, is what activities that you should be doing that are going to bring people out of your pipeline and growing your business. So as you put them in the pipeline at the top, you know, what things do you need to be doing to funnel them through this pipe and turning it into a residual income for yourself? Because that's why we're doing this business. You know, we all have our different reasons for why we're doing the business. Like maybe we're doing it because we really want to help orphanages in Africa. Maybe we're doing this because we want to build a Montessori school. Maybe we're doing this because we have our own charity that we want to contribute to. Any of those reasons are so amazing. But at the end of the day, they require money. So these are the activities that are going to help you build a money-producing business. So preparing is huge. Be a product of the product. Schedule pipes activities, which are these right here. Invite, get product and business training, receive mentoring, do personal development. And then you're going to be sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, inviting people to learn, share, and build, and reminding guests to attend. The P is present. Presenting products, presenting opportunity, attending presentations with guests. Enroll new members, enroll in LRP, commit to share and host a class, commit to build, and then supporting. Continuing to educate customers, launch, train, mentor builders, promote and support wellness, nurture relationships, recognize success. So these are the things, these are income producing activities that you guys are going to want to be doing. And remember, the more you put into your pipeline, the more you'll get out. For greater results, turn up the flow. If you want more results, do more classes, share with more people. That's going to be as simple as that. So what I want to talk about real quick is effective time management. So I get asked all the time. I do this with 4 kids, and I have, a 7-year-old, 4-year-old twins, and then I have a cute little 10-month-old baby. And life gets crazy at my house. My husband will always have another business gig on the side because my husband is like, if you were to cut him open, I think entrepreneurship would be what you would see flowing through his veins, not blood. He loves business ideas, starting new businesses, new companies. So he owns actually 2 companies right now because he loves it. He loves it. So he will always own his own business, and that's great. He's very supportive and very helpful, and I like to call it our doTERRA business because he does have a very active role, but I am primarily the one running it, and I have 4 small kids. So for me, I'm only going to be working, during the week when they're during the day, I work 10, maybe 15 hours a week. It is not my it's my priority ultimately in life is my family. Now, doTERRA is what brings me that, is able to change my life with my family, allows us a lot of opportunities, but they are my number one priority for me. So doTERRA is definitely a priority, something that I spend a lot of time on, but I have learned how to organize that so it does not interfere with my family life. And some of you guys may be managing a job, kids, and this doTERRA business, and that's great. I've been in those shoes too. When I started doing doTERRA, we were dirt poor. I didn't have another job. I just did doTERRA. My husband was starting his company. Eventually, I got another job while I was growing doTERRA because I was so sick of being so poor. Going out to dinner was never an option, and sometimes you just want to go out to dinner. So I got another job. So I was managing a job, growing a business, and then I had a baby. So I definitely understand time management. So first thing you need to do is decide, how many hours am I going to dedicate a week to this doTERRA business? That is going to be huge. So how many hours a week are you going to work? And then I want you to really decide, does this amount of hours, is it going to help me reach my goals in doTERRA? If you're wanting to be diamonding a year, it's not going to work for you to work 5 hours a week. You won't be able to reach your goals that way. But let's say you want to be elite in a year, 5 hours a week, that may be doable. So you really need to talk with your mentor and decide, is the amount of hours that I want to work going to support my goal so that I can reach this goal that I want? So how many hours a week are you going to work, and when are you going to work those hours? It is so important to treat this like a real business. Bagel stores. If you've ever been to a bagel store, they're not open 24 hours a day. And in fact, a lot of times they close early in the afternoon, but they have set hours. When you can go and buy a bagel, they treat it like business. You need to do that same thing with your doTERRA business. Just because you're open for business does not mean you're open 24/7. In fact, some of you may have received messages from me saying, I will respond on Monday. I take Sundays off. Or, we're actually having a family night. I'll get back to you tomorrow morning. You need to set your office hours and honor those. When are you going to work this business? And really, really honor that, because that's huge. So figure out your schedule, when you're going to work. And I would recommend working when your kids are at school, when you have a babysitter, or maybe you don't have kids, maybe you work. So work during your lunch hours. Maybe you get done with work at 3 p.m. So maybe working between 3 and 5 is going to be good. Maybe weekends are good. Maybe evenings are good. But decide when you're going to work. And that's when it's important to put your pipes activities into your schedule. Remember, the key things that you're going to be doing are preparing. So you're going to be receiving mentorship, you are going to be doing that. Bless my heart. Let me see if they have another thing on scheduling your success. They just barely changed up the launch guide, literally within the last week. So I'm like, oh, this is nice and pretty and beautiful. Okay, cool. And you guys will notice we have a Grow to Premier book as soon as we're done with this Premier or this Elite training. So, okay, what I want you to do is realize what's going to grow your business. And that's going to be, personal development. So definitely make sure that you're scheduling that in every day. If you are not taking care of yourself, it's going to be hard to take care of other people. So you want to do personal development, but just make sure it's not overtaking your entire business. The next thing that you want to do is you're inviting people. That's when you're going to be inviting people to your classes. You're going to be presenting, you're going to be enrolling, and you're going to be supporting. So make sure that you have all of these things scheduled in. So preparing, make sure that you have your personal development scheduled in every day. Maybe it's just 15 minutes. Maybe that's it, but that's great. So make sure you're doing that. Make sure you have a time every single week to meet people that you can invite to your classes. So maybe you want to join some local meetups. Maybe you want to go to a park every week or strategize some time and a way to meet new people every week. I'm getting ready to go out to Kansas City, and I will be there a lot. I will also be in Utah a lot, but I want to meet new people when I'm in Kansas City. So I'm already going to a mom's group on Monday, the first Monday I'm there. And I'm not going to go and bombard everyone with doTERRA, but when people ask me if I work, I'm going to be like, I totally work. I teach classes on essential oils. And then we're going to have a great conversation on oils, and I'm going to be prepared with samples. And I already have an open house I can invite them to that first Saturday. So I'm prepared. I have a class set up. I'm going to have samples with me, and I'm going to be prepared to talk about the oils wherever I go somewhere. So, but the point is I'm planning in time to go meet people. Now, you're going to want to plan in your classes. So those are your presentations / enrollments. And then you want to plan in time to your schedule to follow up. That's supporting. You're going to continue to educate customers, and you need to plan in time to work with your builders. Promote and support events. So I'm doing an open house tonight here in Utah. I make time for that once a month. Here in Utah, we have an open house. So make sure that you are scheduling in the things that are going to grow your business, which I'm a huge fan of scheduling your success because it's much easier to succeed when you have a schedule. So how many hours a week are you working? When are you working those hours? And then do the hours you are planning support your goals? And then go ahead and put those pipes activities into your schedule. Okay, so this week, you're going to set up your classes and one-on-ones. I want you to set up your October. When are your classes going to be? When are you going to do one-on-ones? Don't have to worry about inviting people to those just yet, but you need to make sure that you have those set. And if you're utilizing other hosts, like maybe your mom's going to do a class for you, or maybe your neighbor's going to do a class, or maybe your friend from soccer, your son's soccer team is going to do a class, that's great. Get those classes set up. Get them on your calendar. And then I want you to write your name of 100 people that you can invite, and then I want you to create your schedule. So all you're doing this week is setting up your classes on one-on-ones, creating a names list of 100 people, and creating a schedule. When are you working? What are your office hours? And if you want to email me or your mentor your office hours and when your classes are, that's going to be great. I don't necessarily need to see your names list of 100 people, but you're welcome to say, I have this completed. When you turn in your homework, that will be great. Bree will be posting a homework link for us so that we have that ready and available. And then creating your schedule or filling that out so that that's how we know who to win and who wins. And this week, I was on the ball and I actually put a spot for you to put your name in. Sometimes I lose my mind. So this week, we're going to be giving emotional therapy kit out, the emotional aromatherapy kit. So I'm excited about that. And again, I've already given the stuff to Bree to give out, so I'm super excited. So she's going to be posting the link for the homework so that you can turn that in. And I love when you guys post to the Healthy Living Essentials business group. I think it's fun to see what we are all doing together. So if you want to post on there instead of emailing me, that's great. If you don't have Facebook, that's fine. You can email me. But I want to see your office hours. When are you working? And I want to see when you're how many classes you're doing in October and when are they going to be? And then did you do your names list? That's so important. And if you really struggle creating a names list, then talk to me or your mentor. We can figure it out, or do that expand your contacts link that they have in the build guide. So all you're going to do is go to the build guide and then it's share success / expand your contacts. It will help you jog your memory on people to invite. And if you're still having a hard time, then decide, what can I do to meet more people? So that's your assignments for this week. Those are super easy things. And then next week, we're going to be talking about sharing samples with people. So this is exciting, right? Hopefully this is very helpful for you guys. I know I love to talk to you about things you need to be doing to grow your business, because it helps remind me things that I need to be doing to grow my business, which is so important. Every week I forget how to get back into Zoom. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There you are. Awesome chat. People are totally giving me advice on how to share my screen. So thank you. So what kind of questions or comments do you guys have from today? And was this helpful for you? Are these tips things that you feel will help you grow your business? I know they are, but I just want to know that you guys are like, oh, this is what I need to do, or oh, this is how I could do that. Any questions or comments? And you're welcome to unmute yourself. I just muted everybody so that it's not too crazy today.
I have a question. I don't know that's necessarily what we talked about today, but one of the things that I always struggle with right after convention is we have all these new stuff, but we don't have the new product list. And I use that with my classes a lot, and a lot of people want to know all the prices and stuff. Do you know when that will be available? Because I've already got the new enrollment kits. I've got the PDF for that, but I don't have a PDF for the new product list.
I don't know. Did they not have it on doTERRA Tools?
No, it's not updated. At least the last time I checked, which was, I think, yesterday.
doTERRA is usually pretty good. Part of the reason they don't sell their products right away is they don't sell it until they have it for sale. So I wouldn't worry about having a product list for products that don't exist yet, which I know they exist, but they're not for sale yet. So I know that they'll have that by October 3rd when we can purchase them. So I know I'm waiting to update my binders, but I'm like, well, if I were to teach a class tonight, they can't buy that stuff anyway. So I'll just show them what they currently have for sale and then update it on the 3rd.
Okay.
So when we were at convention, they gave the product guide, the book. And so it has the product, the costs and all of that in there. And I've used that when people have asked me how much a thing's going to cost.
Perfect.
So if you were at convention, you got the product guide, the new one, it would be in there.
Yeah.
Well, I just use the product list for my folders. That's what I need it for.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the product guide to show to people. But I'm trying to update my folders. I'm like one of those people that prepares.
Trying to be prepared.
I'm like an over preparer.
He's a C-section of the pipes right now.
I'm with you.
So yeah, I know it's nice to be prepared, and I'm having those same thoughts of, oh, I need to have this done, but it'll be all good. Awesome. So any other questions or comments from today?
Jen, I've loved this because I need builders and I need people to mentor, and the more I go over this stuff, and it's some of the things that I'm doing and have done, but it helps have it systematic so that I can then turn around and try to duplicate it.
Yes. Yeah. The better that you understand this, the easier it will be for you to attract and start builders. Because if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I don't really know how to start somebody, it's going to be hard to really go out there and try to attract a builder if you're not confident in it. People are attracted to confidence, and confidence comes from really feeling set in what you're doing. So this helps you to feel set in what you're doing, so you have that confidence. So people are like, hey, that's a confident person. I want to do what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So, okay, you guys are asking about my binders. I'll give you a sneak preview real quick.